Hello, happy Monday to everyone, or whatever day of the week you might be watching this. Just happens to be Monday when I'm recording it. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Today we're going to be working on taking our current application that we have been building for the last couple of weeks, month or so, from my local machine and push it out to the cloud. For those of you not familiar with what we've been working with, you can check out this outline, which I will conveniently paste in the chat. This has kind of a step-by-step guide for everything we've been working on. We started out building the introduction to our IDEs, talked about Microsoft Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, JetBrains Writer. Then we pretty much started from scratch with a file new application. We then built out the business layer, the data layer. We tied up any framework with it in SQLite. We then added unit tests to it, some mocks, then worked on tweaking the database layer so that we can change our database in the future, which we did last week. We then exposed our API, added some documentation to the API, then added authentication. We then spent about a week, 2 weeks to build out an MVC client to it. Then last week we took it and said, we're going to move it to the cloud. Let's go and migrate from SQLite to SQL Server. Not that there's one that's better than the other, it's just more of for hosting in the cloud, it's just easier to use SQL Server than SQLite. So you don't have to worry about some of the maintenance and things like that. And today we're going to work on moving it to the cloud. So what we'll probably do today is go and create some of the resources we need in Azure. To do so, I'm not going to cover creating an account in Azure or anything like that, just more so what you need, assuming you have one. Then if there's time, we will deploy from within our browser, or sorry, from within our IDE. Tomorrow, we will probably work on automating that so that we can deploy every time there's a check-in and we don't have to manually do it. So let's get started. I opened up the browser, or I opened up the code just in case we need to, but most of the work we're going to do inside of Azure right now. And you can do this with Google Cloud, your own infrastructure, AWS. It doesn't matter. It's more toward your liking. I am going to cover the doing it through Microsoft Azure. So once you sign in, you'll see a plethora of different resources depending on what you've used. If you notice here, there are a couple of new ones. I was playing around this weekend with the event grids and Azure functions and so on. Just trying to mess around with some new stuff so that future streams we might cover them. So let's start with publishing. Typically go and create a resource group per each logical representation of a application or series of applications. This particular case, we already have one called Coding with JoeG, so we will add the items to that. First thing we are going to need is a database. Right now we're hosted on SQL Server, so let's go and look at that. You see it pops up as one of the first choices, but I am going to search for it just to show that there are a lot of different options. It's pretty much two that we want to look at. The first is Azure Sql, which is a hosted instance of SQL Server, meaning it's very close to as if you had SQL Server natively on a machine, but behind the scenes, they manage everything for you. Or you can do a straight SQL Server instance, and there's also lots of different flavors depending on what operating system you want to work on. We're going to choose Azure Sql for now. Let's go and click create. And then you see we even have more choices in that. So we have the SQL databases, which says best for modern cloud application, hyperscale, serverless options are available. Managed instance, best for most migrations to the cloud, lift and shift ready. For those who don't know, lift and shift is pretty much, I have an existing database. I want to give it to you to manage, or lift it up from my area, shift it over to your area. Then there's virtual machines. Those are running real instances, or not real, but full instances of SQL Server on virtual machines. We're going to want to do one of these two. Not sure which one yet. Let's do show details. Single databases are great for modern cloud-born applications. Need fully managed database with predictable performance. Elastic Pool provides cost-effective solutions, blah, 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 and physical databases. So far for our demo app, SQL single database would probably be the best fit. Let's see what SQL Manage does. Managed Instance provides full SQL access and features capable for migrating SQL servers to Azure. I don't think we need to do that. So let's go with here and choose a single database. You want to do Elastic Pool if you think your database is going to grow a lot or have a lot of different instances. So that allows you to spread out the databases across. Since this is going to be a sample app, the single database would suffice. And obviously each of them has a different cost setting with it. So what shall our database name be? Let's keep it consistent. I think we just call it contacts. And then what server? We don't have a server in here, so we're going to want to create a new one. Let's do coding with JoeG. This name needs to be unique across all instances. Actually, let's do coding with JoeG contacts. Well, I guess I might end up creating other databases out here. And then SQL Server logon. Login must be not additional. Okay. Names like yes. Okay, so let's choose a manager. That would be me. And a password. Let's put this in the West too, because that's where everything else is. Click OK. We'll end up creating a new user like we did yesterday once we copy over the database. We don't want Elastic Pool, so let's see what kind of database we want. Let's go to configure. General purpose is probably massively overkill for what we have, but let's just see. So that gives us 500 to 20,000 IOPS, and those are number of kind of like requests per second, which 2 to 10 milliseconds latency, which is super fast. But if you look here, the general cost is an average of $380 a month. So it's kind of overkill. We switch it to serverless, meaning it's not running in real time and constantly, but we're shared across. We are getting a cost of about one 10,000th of a penny in the US, which equates to about $4 a month. Oh no, that's storage cost. So that is probably a little bit better. But let's go take a look at some of the ones that they don't advertise too much. Looking for basic, standard, and premium. These will get closer to what we're actually using. Standard would cost us, I think you get up to 250 database units free. So no matter what I do here, it's really not going to change much. I don't anticipate it ever getting that big, but the storage is virtually free. Let's see what basic is. Costs $5 a month for up to a 2 gig size. So I can go $15 or $5. Let's go with basic for now. Worst comes to worst, you can always bump it up. But again, this is just our demo. We're not going to be really using this a lot, so that should be adequate. I'm going to click apply and then do a review and create. It tells me my estimated cost is about $5 a month. And nothing else needs. Oh, there's a use existing. I wonder if there's a way to change that right here. Click create. This takes a couple of seconds to do, if I remember correctly, because it's got to spin up a, not really a VM, but a separate machine where it's going to run this on or add me to an existing machine. So while that's going on, let's go and look at creating the web service. See here, it's working on creating it. Oh, I was accepted. Yay, Microsoft accepted me. Go back and create a app server. Now we can do a couple of different things with this also. We can create a web app here, which has a lot of what we need. Can also create a Windows server ourselves to host it. If you look here in the web, you'll see a lot of different options. I think for the most part, we can just go with web app. And then our Azure sponsorship, or that's the subscription we're putting this in. We'll use the existing resource group and then create a name for it. How's it asking me for storage account? That seems like a little bug right there. So let's call this coding. This name needs to be unique. Coding with JoeG dash, and then let's call it contacts dash web. I should probably write these down only because I might forget later. See, we can look them up too. I just rather just remember the standards that we did, because we're going to create two, one for the web and then one for the API. And publish, we're going to publish it as code, and then let's do .NET Core. We can do Windows or Linux. Let's do Windows for now. Choose West 2, and wants to know a service plan for that. We don't have one. Let's see what happens if I create one. Let's create a new one with a better name. Contacts dash web. I think I can just do that. I don't know if I need to do UI. Let's look at the size and everything. Just like SQL, we have the ability to go and change those. So with production, the S1, I believe, is the smallest, which looks like that is correct. And it's about $73 a month. It was a basic one, I thought. Ah, this is it. So this, again, not recommended for quote unquote real production, but you can create separate things or separate infrastructure. So here you get 60 minutes a day free. This is good for like things like this where we only plan on using it during our stream. But you can do something a little bit different where here for almost $10 a month, we get 1 gig and 240 minutes a day, which is a couple of hours. And then this one at $55. See if there's others. Oh man, these got a lot more expensive than they used to be. Good thing is we're going to host a couple of different apps on here, so it should be okay. Not sure if we go with this, what happens when it's done. I think if we use the 250 minutes, which how much is that? I think that's 6 hours. 150 divided by 60, 4 hours. So after 4 hours of use, it eventually shuts down. So we'll see. We get around with that. You get a lot of complaints that it's not working or it doesn't work for us. We'll bump it up. Click apply. We can choose next for monitoring. I think that's going to allow us to turn on application insights, which I'm not going to cover since we really didn't talk about that yet. It's enabled by default. We'll keep it on, but we'll talk about it in a future stream. Let's do review and create. This gives me all the details. I hit create. That's deploying. Database is good and ready to go. We're going to want to create one more web app here. So let's do create coding with JoeG. And then web app. I should probably wait for the other instance to get created before we do that. I don't know if I could apply it or not, so we'll see. Coding with JoeG contacts API and .NET Core 3.1. Put this in the West. And then it already saw that I have contact web instance, so we're going to assign it to that. Do review and create, and it got created already for the web UI got created, which is why we're able to see that. Those are usually pretty darn quick, especially when using the shared infrastructure. So once this is done, we should be good. Let's go and take a look at copying our database up there. So let's see how we can do that. Let's start off with the Azure Data Studio. You see behind the scenes that the web API was created. That's in the wrong folder. I forgot the password. I thought I hit save. And that should be its own group. Hold on, I gotta go get that new password. Off on a different screen to try and pull in that. Everything wants an update. Everything wants an update. And how many times you do it? It's one of the side effects of being on like insiders tracks or head of the release tracks. Everything gets updated like every day, which you don't necessarily want to update every day, but kind of cool to try out new stuff. Except when you're doing it just before going live or just before a conference, which happened to me once before. Ooh, I don't think I started the Docker container. Let's double check that. Dashboard. Nope, didn't start it yet. Let's start it. It's running. Click OK. Can I restart? Yes, I know there's an operation cannot be completed. Okay, so now we're here. I think there is a feature of this. I don't want to say that we can take this and migrate it up to Azure. Go figure, right? So let's take this database here, right click and choose manage. Thought there was an easy way to do it right from here. Let's do backup. Let's see if there's a way to do it from here. Well, there's Azure. Maybe we can back it up from here and then restart. Well, let's see. Manage, disconnect, refresh, data tier, application wizard. Extract data tier wizard application from an instance of SQL Server to DPAC file. You can do that. Export schema and data from a database to a logical batch file. I think that's more what we want to do. And then we can import it here. Yes. And let's do projects / database. I think that's where I have it. Projects, databases. Next, export. And hopefully it'll tell me it's done soon. Ah, there it is. Progress is right here. And it's done. It's relatively quick. It's super, there's really nothing in there. So let's take a look here at our databases. That's our context database. Yes, login fail because, oh, I'm gonna give myself permission to it. Because I have a dedicated user ID for it. Ah, so this is something I didn't cover. In order for you to connect to any databases inside of the Azure world, so to speak, you need to open up firewall ports to them. Since we're doing this from my local machine, it's going to want to say, hey, are you okay with this? Do you want me to add in that client IP address, meaning that they'll honor any requests from 722.1.1.151.198. You can put in any range. You'll want to do ranges if you're like coming from a corporate firewall, your corporate web server. My Azure certificate stuff. for whatever reason, that database wasn't added to my Azure account. So once I click OK, it'll create the new firewall rule on there. It wanted to validate that my Azure license or my Azure credentials were good. Now you should see I have it. Ignore that for a minute. Let's do remember password because I want to keep on entering it. And now we should see that we have that table or that database, but no tables. So let's see how we can restore. So let's go here and choose manage. How are you not supported? Kill me. I can see that things are there. Ah, man, that stinks. I thought I was going to be able to restore it straight from here. So let's go check in the portal, see if there's a way to easily do that. My database is not showing in here, so let's go coding with JoeG, and the resources should be there. And we have our database right there. Export, restore. Restore is if we have previous backups here. I'm looking to see if there's another way of doing it. Yeah, it's looking to see what copies I have since I don't have anything here. Let's see if there's a way I can upload a copy of it. And I really want to do it just from the ID and not have to mess around with it. Fortunately, it changes so often. Let's see if there's another option within here. It just allows for restore. Okay, let's see if the tools within side of Writer allow me to do it. So let's go here to our Azure Explorer. Our SQL databases. Coding with JoeG, contacts, connect to database. That should be good. Click OK. Wait a couple seconds for it to actually connect. And why are you red? Not ready yet? Oh, okay. Why are you not ready yet? It's connected. Let's see. Yeah, we don't need data sources. Properties, let's just check the properties of it. Let's just switch to 8.2. No drivers configured. I just need to connect to that. might be complaining because no, I typed it in wrong. Oops. Okay. Now you need to tell what database you want to connect to, which I should have done in here, but I forgot to. No, it's connected to contacts. Why aren't you showing anything? Let me see if we can create from here like we did in the past. Huh. Nice. That's pretty cool. And we can create the tables. This is exactly what I want to do. C/ or on folder. Let's choose projects, databases, export to file. Create a now let's see, scripted, SQL scripts, source editor, database tools, force refresh. Let's just do that because it's not showing me the database. It's reloading now. Here it goes. Contacts. DBO, nothing. So let's go and open the query console. And then here we should be able to open up each one of those files that we ran. Actually, let's open that in here because it's a little bit cleaner. Projects, databases, then these are all the databases. So if we need to do them in a particular order, let's make sure we got the right connection. We want these to be one that's not listed in here. Let's create a new group here called Coding with JoeG. Assorted databases for the Coding with JoeG stream. And let's go with a purplish color because that's the theme background. There we go. And let's move the cancel for a second. Move you to here. Move you to there. Or not. It's connected. I just don't know what connection this is because there are so many. Oh, it's coding with JoeG. You can see that by hovering over it. So let's run the addresses. We don't have any addresses in there, so I should just create it. Oh, I gotta create contacts first. This is where the order matters again. So let's close you out. Let's close you out. Let's run you. We want this to be connected to our contacts. Why can't I see you anymore? It's already connected. Why are you prompting me to connect? Being so difficult. Being so difficult. It should appear right here. Let's do save connections, coding with JoeG. No, that's not the one I want. SQL. I don't remember that long server name. So let's do you. Manage. And see if I can throw this into a group. Nope. Dashboard extensions. Man, this is being difficult. Oh boy. So let's do new query and copy all this out. I don't know why I can't just do this. Paste it here. Hit run. Ah. This is complaining because I have the identity insert on. What's on by default? Identity insert off. And then I want to turn it back on when we are done. I think that's the right syntax, but it's complaining. I need my handy dandy Google skills. Set identity insert. Oh, I need to specify the database or the table. So dbo.contacts off. dbo.contacts on. Now I should be able to run it. Can I insert? Oh, opposite. On and then off. You have to tell identity insert, which means you are giving it the identity. You have to turn that on and then turn it off afterwards. My bad. There we go. Now let's see what else we need. So we got contacts done, which is that one. Now we can do any others. So let's go. What are you? No, don't need you. Which one are you? Just did you, but I'm going to keep you open. Address types. I select the database. Nope. So let's copy and paste you here. Create, run, and close you. We can copy all of you because that should be good. There's no identity inserts on that one. Run. Like I said on a previous screen, we should have, an easy way to do this. I'm just trying to do it with out of the box tools so that when you go and do stuff like this, you know what you're doing without needing to rely on third-party tools. So we got this one going. Now phone types is done. Now I just need to do addresses. Since there's no addresses to commit, we can just do that. And that should work. And now last, Why is that complaining? Ah, darn it. Oops. Save the wrong one. Data addresses. Let's just make sure which ones I need. Phone types. Phone is the last one. So this one I need to do set identity insert for dbo.phones to on. Actually, no, vice versa. Off. Set identity dbo phone on. And then I need a valid connection, which should be this one. Yep. Cannot find phone because I don't have. Oh, didn't create phone. One of the phone types is there. Let me refresh this. Oh, look, there's a restore here. Let's see if I got everything. No, I had the last one. Didn't work. Cool. So database is up and running. Close all these. Way to go and check. Besides from here, we can actually go to the portal and go into the query editor. And I can type in the, crap. I hit the power button on my Mac. So your screen probably just went blank for a minute. But the audio and everything should be fine because the audio and everything else goes through a different computer. JoeG34, which is not my password. Click OK. It's logging me in, and I should be able to see a SQLite. Remember, this is a preview, so there could be some bugs with it, but essentially, let's run select star from contacts, hit run, and it should execute. And there's our 4 rows. So now we got our database in the cloud. Now we need to get our application up into the cloud. So let's go to Writer and take care of that. Let's close you out. Let's close. Actually, I'm just going to close all the windows. And let's go to App Service, Web Apps. Should find 2 of them there. And there's our 2 different ones. All these are just other ones that I happen to have in there. This concept of deployment app slots, we're not going to cover that yet, but essentially you can deploy code to the environment like a beta or a trial or blue environment, and then when you're ready, shift it over to another slot saying this is ready to go, and that's where users see it. You have the ability to, start, stop it, delete it, change all that stuff, but we actually want to deploy. So let's go and deploy our web API first. So I can right click in here, choose publish, and it's going to ask me where I want to publish to. Do I want to publish to IIS, publish to a folder, custom server, or Azure? I'm going to choose Azure right now because that's where it sits. I can create an existing app or create a new one or use an existing. We are publishing the web API, so let's take the web API one. Notice a couple other things that are in here. Let's expand this out a little bit so we can see more. This just kind of tells us where everything is, the subscriptions. Don't worry about that. I have two different, actually technically I have 4 subscriptions, but 2 that we use here. So we got that. One other thing you might want to do is change the database connection. So we want to enable it, and it's going to look for a connection. So this is the connection. It's going to look for that. It's going to want to know what the connection string to use for it. And let's see, this is secure. So actually, I want to change that. I'm going to go and change the connection. If you remember, we created a sample here using the password of password123. So let's go, excuse me, and create that account. So here we want to open up a new query. Don't save. And where did that code go? I'll pull it up again. We have a script that does all that already that we used last time, and I don't have it anywhere. Let's do this. So create login, and what do we call it? Contacts user. And then we gave it this awesome secure password, which was password1. And then we're going to use contacts user, and you could ignore that. I copied one extra line. Now if I run this, it should create that user. Might not be able to create it from here. Some of the SQL is limited, so let's see if I can create it directly from here. Yes, all right, save the query. No, by the way, you can click set firewall rules here if you connect to it right from here. Because I have my user ID password or my Microsoft credentials set up on my machine, it realized it was the same account and gave me the ability to change the firewall. Let's try here. Ooh, that looks fancy. Advanced security. Nope. That's not what I want to do. Configure. Nope. That allows us to change the instance. Connection strings. Yes. Not changing anything there. It just gives me the connection strings to use. I want to create a new user. Create new user SQL Server Azure. Let's see what this one says. Create login, blah, blah, blah. I guess it worked. Maybe it's because I thought I logged in with the admin user. Let's see what users it has listed here. Security, users. What are I complaining about? Let's hit refresh. No, that's weird. I need to do it at the server level. No, because it's just a database. Oh, I know what I have to do. I have to do it at the server level. I was just in the database level. So I need to go back to the overview and go to the server. Now I should be able to create new users. In it somewhere in here, somewhere in this code base. Let's see if I click on security. No. There should be a way I can create users. Let's see if it's under Active Directory admin. No. Where is it? Where is it? Access control? No, that's for other instances of Azure connecting to it. Why can't I add a user here? Let's see. Security as on Terminal SQL Azure Day is very similar, but some definite differences. The first difference is concept of contained user. User is not mapped to a login. Authentication is done in Azure Active Directory or in the database itself. Traditional logins with SQL Server. Database map to still exists, but this breaks the concept of the required login that gets you in there. You immediately notice when you right click on logins or users in the Object Explorer, choose, it opens up a new window with command syntax instead of greeting you. Yeah, it doesn't look like what I wanted to do. It's probably because we chose SQL, Azure SQL. Yeah, in there. Okay. Let's try one more blog post, and then if that doesn't work, I will create it and we will rename it. Oh, we can probably do server authentication since we know the connect the databases. We can fix that. Authorize server database access to your logins. Let's see what this says. Options for configuring Azure, manage instance, blah, blah, blah. Authentication, SQL authentication. With this authentication method, user submits account name. This is what I want to do. How do I do it though? How do I do it? I guess I can do it the harder way. Using existing logins and users after creating SQL servers, properties. In the manage instance, create SQL logins. In SQL database, create SQL logins with limited administrative permissions. Create additional SQL login in master database. I just tried going to master and they wouldn't let me go to master. Let's try this again. You use master here. Create login. That worked. Now let's go to use contacts. Run. That worked. Run. That worked. I guess it worked now. One way to test it is let's try and log in. So let's disconnect. And come on. I guess I really can't disconnect from it. Another way to test it is let's create a new connection here. And then we need the server name. So let's go back to our data and get our server name, which is this lovely guy here. Paste that in here. The username is contacts_user and the password is password1. I already forgot the password. And then let's see if this works. Hit remember. I typed the password right. Yeah, typed the password wrong. Password 1. Okay, so let's do new. Paste you in, SQL login, contacts_user, PASSWORD, and 1. Let's see if that works. Password wrong. Oh, let's copy it again. Oh, that's why I got the password wrong. I literally typed it wrong. Now, if I drop down, let's do coding with JoeG, connect. Server principal is not able to access master under current contacts, cannot open database, default database. That stinks. That stinks. I think because I didn't set a default database for it here. Let's try. Let's try deploying this and changing the credentials. You can actually change it to use something different. Enable database connection. Yeah, I don't want that. Let's go and change that. So there is a way for us to change this script as we publish, or right after publication, it will go and change it. We actually want to put that here in our app settings JSON, which the publish script will take care of for us, but we need to create that setting here, which we're just about out of time anyway. So tomorrow we'll focus on getting this script or getting the database connection here for prod and then pushing it up. So until then, it was great chatting with everyone. I will see you tomorrow on a future stream. Have a great day.